So if you don't have the data analysis Toolpack, you can use this approach to easily do this assignment in Google Sheets or in Microsoft Excel. We want to compare the two confidence intervals. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to see if the two confidence interval numbers overlap. If they overlap, we can't say there's a difference between male resting heart rate and female resting heart rate. If they don't overlap, then we say, hey, there is a difference because our confidence intervals don't even cross with one another, so they must be statistically significantly different. So I've randomized the numbers. You can even ignore this column because we don't use that. But I didn't randomize the third column here. Okay, so I've randomized this column so I don't give away the answers. But to construct a confidence interval, what you do is you take a mean and you add and subtract the margin of error. Okay, what we need is the mean of the males and the mean of the females. So to get the mean of the males, we've done this before. We type in equals average, open parentheses, click and drag all the male resting heart rates. Oops. There we go. And then close the parentheses. And then for female, you do the same thing. Equals average, open parentheses, click and drag all the female resting heart rates, and then close the parentheses, like I did here. So we got the mean part. Now we just need the margin of error. So the margin of error is found by typing in equals confidence. Actually, before we do that though, sorry, to make equals confidence work, we need the standard deviation. Okay, so that's just the same process except you type in stdev.s and then click and drag for the males and then close the parentheses. And for females, same thing. Okay, so now that we have the standard deviation, now we can calculate that margin of error that we need for the confidence intervals. So you type in equals confidence, open parentheses. Actually, to be specific, we should be doing confidence.t, okay, because it's a t statistic. You almost always use a t statistic in practice because we don't know the population standard deviation. We just estimate it with the sample standard deviation. But basically, you want to use a 95% confidence interval, so type in 0.05 for alpha. The standard deviation men was 7.14. And the sample size for men, it starts on cell 5 and it goes all the way down to cell 112. So the difference there is 107 plus, I think there's 108 men. If you're off by 1, it's really not going to affect the results. And then do the same thing for female. Type equals confidence, open parentheses. You need to type in your alpha, which is, if you're using a 95% confidence interval, that's 0.05. The standard deviation for female, 6.3814. And then sample size, I think, is roughly the same for females, but just to check, it starts on cell 113, ends on cell 204, so it is going to be different. So that's 113 minus 204. That's 92. There's 92 females in the data set. Okay, and there's the margin of error for females. So now we're ready to construct the confidence intervals, and then we're done. Okay, so the confidence interval is found by taking the mean. Actually, here, there's two numbers for confidence. There's a lower bound and an upper bound, right? The lower amount and the upper amount. So the lower bound, you can type in Excel or you can just calculate by hand. The lower bound is found by taking the mean and subtracting it by the margin of error. And the upper bound is found by taking the mean, so I'm going to type equals 82.4, and this time I'm going to add the margin of error. Same thing for females. The lower bound equals 83.6 minus 1.30398, and it equals 83.6 plus 1.30398. That's it. We've got our confidence interval. So the male confidence interval is 81.038, 83.762. The female goes from 82.296 for a lower bound and 84.904 for an upper bound. And so look, the numbers cross, right? 83 is the highest for males. 82 is the lowest for females. Those cross. So for my randomized data set, which is different than your data set, I would say that there's no statistically significant difference because the two confidence intervals cross. Now we're done. Okay, the assignment's done. We didn't use a p-value approach by using the data analysis package. We did this one. We compared two confidence intervals. Okay.